Our next publisher project will involve creating a brochure with a proper layout. That's going to be key here because there are specific sections of a brochure that I'm going to go over with you right now. So we see this example here on the screen, and we see 3, 2, 1. There are 4 sections in a brochure, in a properly made brochure. 4 sections. Section 1, which actually starts off on the right when you're looking at it like this. Section 1 is the title panel. So in the title panel, we have, you guessed it, the title of what our brochure is about. So if it's a vacation spot, it would say Florida, for example, or Hawaii. It has to be pretty crystal clear as to what the brochure is about in the title. We have a picture and maybe a slogan. This little subtitle right here says a brief description or your company tagline would work well here. Yes, it would. Like if you are going to have a brochure about Florida, underneath you'd say the Sunshine State, or it's always summer here. Okay? Something cool like that, and then a picture of a beach or of Mickey Mouse or whatever you think would fit Florida best. So in the first 3 cases, each section is an individual panel. However, the 4th section is not, but I'll get to that in a moment. Section number 2 is actually the back of the brochure. Now, it might be kind of hard to envision right now, but in class, I'll show you a better way of looking at it. So this is an unfolded brochure. So it's laid out flat on the table before it's folded. So if you can imagine it being folded, the title would be on top, the title section would be on top, and this is actually the back. So the back of the brochure. And not much goes on it. If you turn your head here, you don't have to, but it says company name, street address, and where the company that made the brochure is located. Only basic information about the maker of the brochure would go on the back. The back is not supposed to be something that you really expect most people to look at, as weird as that sounds. But that's section number 2. Only maybe basic information about the company or location, or basic information about what the brochure is, the makers of it. Hopefully that makes sense. It does to me. Anyway, hopefully it does to you. Section 3 is the first panel you see when you first open it. So when you first open section 1, when you first open the title panel, this is what you see, 3. This is called the summary panel. It's a list of bullet points or a very brief summary of everything that's going to be on the full inside of the brochure. So if you are going to go in detail about things to do in Florida, I know I keep using that, but it's the easiest example I can think of. Let's just say that on the inside of the brochure, you talk about different hotels to visit, different beaches, you give different restaurants, you talk about all the theme parks you can go to, you talk about Disney World, SeaWorld, what else is there? Universal Studios, and other things, any other things that might be there. On this summary page, you would say, for example, a wide variety of hotels, beaches, theme parks, aquariums, zoos. You list those things, and you list those general things. You wouldn't go into specifics on the summary page. So you wouldn't say all the rides you can go on at Universal. You wouldn't say that. That's for the inside. You would just say theme parks, or you just say Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure or things like that. You wouldn't get into specifics. Section 4 is the full inside of the brochure. So when you open the entire thing up, you see these 3 panels, and these 3 panels collectively are all called Section 4. So in Section 4, you have everything you want to throw at the reader. You go into detail about the theme parks you'd find in Florida. You name specific restaurants, like Giordano's, which is in Kissimmee, Florida. It's one of the best Italian restaurants I've ever been to. But anyway, you list things like that. you would list you can list specific rides, like go on the Incredible Hulk roller coaster at Universal, for example, or Islands of Adventure is where it is. Go on Dueling Dragons, the A Bug's Life 4D thing that I did a long time ago. That was pretty cool. you list very specific things. So we are going to have 5 sections, or we're going to have 5 different categories. So if you're doing Florida, you'd have, list of different hotels, attractions, restaurants, beaches, and maybe shops to go to, or just general sightseeing things that you can, see. So that's a basic summary of the parts of a brochure. You will be expected to remember what each part is on a future quiz. Not only that, you'll be expected to remember for this very project. So if we go into Publisher, I actually already have a blank page open, but that's okay, even though it doesn't look like a brochure yet. We're going to go to the Page Design tab, and for orientation, we are going to select Landscape. You may have already selected this size from the very beginning, so you might not need to do that, but just for good measure, go to Orientation, make sure it's set to Landscape. Maybe it'll already be like that, maybe not, but let's just make sure it's set to that. What we are also going to do is click the Guides button, and we are going to divide up our page into thirds, 3 columns with heading. This gives us a nice way of spacing things out. We don't need these 2 guides here, so we can do is right-click on each of them and go to Delete Guide. Right-click, delete. So this is how we are going to organize our brochure. And it's not really that hard to visualize now. We have sections 1, 2, 3. And again, they go from right to left, 1, 2, 3, because when you fold it properly, this is going to be on top. It's number 1, and then this is the back 2. Despite it being the least important, it still gets number 2. And then summary page 3. But we also need a we also need a section 4. You might scroll down and find that there's nothing there. So we need to manually insert a second page. We can do that by right-clicking. And I'm actually going to go to Insert Duplicate Page. If I just went to Insert Page, it would insert a blank white page with no guides. Click OK. That's not what I want. So instead, I'm going to right-click and go to Insert Duplicate Page. That will duplicate everything that's on there, guides included. And now I can get started. So those tabs we've been exploring up until now, well, we are going to make good use of those. So we would insert a picture of some kind on section 1. I'll go to Insert Pictures. And I will type in something that truly represents the spirit of Florida. I guess California too, because Disneyland is in California. But you know what? Disney World is in Florida, and a world is bigger than a land. So that's the way I look at it. This is stuff you can only learn in creative digital design. I want the text to really stand out here, so I will insert word art rather than just plain text. You can choose your style, but you want to make sure it's readable. This might not be the best, but this is pretty good. I knew there was something wrong with how I was spelling it, but I just couldn't quite get it. Let's see what this font is. I guess that's good. Bold. And you're not stuck with a word art color either. You can actually fully customize it. If you go up to Shape Fill, you can make the inside red. Oh, that kind of matches Mickey's attire. Notice how when I clicked off the word art, these options disappeared? Because in order to get the Format tab or a Format tab, the object you're working with has to be clicked on. So now I have Word Art Tools Format. I can change the outline to whatever, orange. Maybe I'll make it a little bit thicker. That looks pretty cool. And maybe I'll just insert a tagline underneath, I'll do a regular text box. So you click the Draw Text Box button and click and drag to form a box. Or, you know what? Let's see what happens when we just click. And it forms actually a square box for you automatically if you just click. And you can resize it afterwards. Or you can click and drag. This is really small here, but I'll make it bigger. I guess you can use word art here too if you really want to. Just make it smaller. The title should be bigger than the rest of it. That's an example of proportional text. Maybe I'll click that to center. Text fill. I'm gonna try yellow and black as the outline, except I can't see the fill. Let me just make this bigger. Oh, now I can. You might have to play around with the text boxes a little bit. I really don't like that black outline. Blue? The text, you know, forget the outline. The text is really thin, so it's hard to see the, there we go. It's hard to see the fill inside of the outline. The Sunshine State. Okay, and you could organize that at will. So anyway, I don't want this to drag on too long. So here, we will put, you know, make up the name of a travel company maybe if we're doing this kind of topic. A summary page, I already went over what could be in a summary page. Hotels, theme parks, etc. Then we get into specifics in here. So whenever we need to insert a text box, insert tab. In fact, the insert tab is how we access pictures, whether on our computer or online. Shapes, borders. We can change the color scheme of our entire thing by choosing one of these, although it only changes specific objects like a border. It might not always change, or might not change things or colors you adjust manually. So keep that in mind. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends. Eventually we'll insert, you know, we'll put a background on here. That's pretty good, because even when it's folded, it's kind of looks the same. So these kind of go horizontally, these colors. I wouldn't really recommend this because it's kind of uneven. The white is only centered in the middle, whereas if it's horizontal, it keeps it consistent across all three panels on each side. But yeah, that's about it. So I'll obviously go over more when we do the project. But that is how we are going to start our brochure. I will see you soon.